Blind Beauty.
Frank A. Clark once said, "If you find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere." Hello everyone and welcome to Blind Beauty. I'm Jennifer. What we are going to do today is I am going to share with you how to contour as well as apply blush and apply highlight, and why each of these steps is important whenever you are wearing makeup. Now, some people may not feel it's important, and that's okay. I personally don't always contour. I personally don't always wear highlight. Now, the one thing I try to do is wear blush, even though I can't see it. But we're going to go in the order of contour, blush, highlight. The contour, and I'll take you through each step by step, what to do, how to do it, and this is going to be kind of basic beginner's guide. Now, I will try to do a more in-depth version where you do more cream contouring and whatnot, but for me, powder contouring is easiest. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I am a little closer so that maybe y'all can see more of what I'm doing than, if I were further back. So, let's do this, shall we? Alright, one thing I want to talk about before I get started is tools. Because there are so many different tools out there that you can choose to use and may want to use. Now for me, I started out with something kind of like this Wet n Wild brush. I'm not sure what the brush this is, but it's the one that has an angled head to it. This might actually be their bronzing or contouring brush. Now the e.l.f. bronzing brush, the one that's a little slanted at the top here, that's the one I started out with. And that is a great choice too, but this Wet n Wild one, you can get it from the Dollar Tree sometimes. And I do apologize about shadows. I'm still working with lighting and all that, and I haven't figured out how to avoid shadows on my face and all that yet, so please bear with me there. But this right here is one of the first ones I used, once again. Now, after that, I moved on to the Real Techniques contouring brush. I believe that's what this is called. Unfortunately, Real Techniques does not make it very easy to see what their brushes are called, because it's like, yes, it is called the contour brush. Looks like this here, and it's more tapered at the end. It's a smaller brush than the Wet n Wild one. It's more tapered at the end, so this does work for a good contour. It also can work for blush. I've used it for both, and believe it or not, I've used it for highlight too. So this is a multi-use brush that I've done before. Then I moved on to the e.l.f. contouring brush. Now this one here, I believe that's what this is called. Unfortunately, e.l.f. does not have the name on this brush, but it is a wide, flat brush, really flat head here, and it's very wide. It works great to get right in that, right under the cheekbone. So if you are an absolute beginner, this does work. Now, it can be more difficult to blend it out sometimes with this than it is with the Maybelline. I believe this is their contouring brush by Maybelline. Yeah, it actually says contour on the brush here. This is the Maybelline brush. I did a haul a while back last year that I got a package from Miranda Wrights. She was so sweet, I won a giveaway, and I unboxed that on camera, and I'll try to link that below if you want to watch it. But this is one of the items I got, and you can also get a brush like this from Shop Miss A as well. For it's a set for $2. And this works great to get right there on the under the cheekbone as well as on the cheekbone, so that it helps to blend out the contour. So that does work really well too. But today we're going to go with the one I mentioned first, the Wet n Wild brush. It is the cheapest after all, and the easiest. Well, not easiest, but, it really works for me. It is what I started out with after all. Now, you do have different options as well for the products to use. I have the e.l.f. Blush and Bronzer Duo in St. Lucia, and this is what I started out with contouring, actually. This right here. Now, this here, well, it's not this exact packaging, but, product, but I owned one before, because I started contouring back in, like, 2014, something like that. So this is a newer one since then. But this right here is a great thing for doing your blush and bronzer both. And contour, I mean. Now bronzing, I'm not very familiar with bronzing yet. I do more contouring. Maybe I'll learn more about bronzing and try to do that in the more advanced version. And then this here is the Wet n Wild contouring palette in Dolce de Leche. And this here has a contour shade as well as a under eye setting powder is what I use it for. It's like a banana shade. So, I mean, you can use this as a highlight, but for me, I like it better under the eyes. I didn't use this under the eyes today. I used my BH Sculpting Glow Kit, which is another great option if you do want to do more bronzing, have more options for coloring. And last I knew, they were on sale on BH Cosmetics. I don't know if they still are, but I think it's only like a $10 palette. But I think this Wet n Wild one is like a $4 or $5 palette. The e.l.f. one is a $4 palette. And then you have other options for highlight as well, but we'll get to that here in a moment, as well as blush. But whenever you're contouring, think about shadows, okay? Wherever you want there to be a natural shadow to the face, that's where you contour. If you want to slim down your nose or make it look like there is a shadow on your nose, you add a little bit of contour to the edges. Now for that, I would typically use something like an eyeshadow brush, like a fluffy blending brush to do it, you know, and I'll show you that too. And you can also contour the socket of the eye, like where your crease is on your eye. And we'll get into all that here in a moment, but wherever you're wanting to add a little bit of depth, a little bit of dimension, that's where you want to contour. Now for me, I like to add a little bit to the hollows of my cheeks, and it would be based on your face shape as well, but but we'll get into that in the more advanced videos. But some people will say do like an E3, like right there, if you feel your face, like really take your hands and just feel all over your face, and you can feel little indentions on your face. Where my temples are, there's an indention. Like right above my brow area, there's a little indention. And right under my cheeks, and then you can tell there's a natural indention at the jawline too, like it drops down. So you would want a little bit there too. Excuse me, my sinuses are going a little haywire today. But you know, that's the main areas that I contour and where I learned to first contour the face. And you can tell my face right now, I have foundation and lipstick on, that's it. Foundation, powder, concealer, that's it, nothing else. Because I'm going to be doing multiple videos right now of how to do eye makeup, like a beginner eye tutorial, as well as possibly a brow tutorial, I'm not quite sure yet. But that right there, you know, this brush here, the Wet n Wild one, the slanted, the angled one, that's what we're going to be using. And I'm going to go in with the Dolce de Leche contouring palette from Wet n Wild. And no, this video is not sponsored at all, by the way. And I'm going to dip it in. And remember, less is more, because you don't want to get way too much on your brush or whatever, because it's harder to take it away than it is to add it. So you can dip in the very highest point of the brush, that's typically what I do, dip that in most, and then you can get some on the bottom too, but focus most up there on the very tip. And then what I do, and I'm going to be using my mirror so that I can actually see, because I can't see the phone that well, so I'm using my iPhone to do this. But you take it and you get it right there in the hollow of the cheek. You can use your finger, and usually it's right there near the top of the ear, where your ear meets your face, at the very top. Usually right in there, there's a little hollow point. And you can even suck in your cheeks. If you can't feel that with your hand, suck in your cheeks, and that will give you an idea of where the hollow points should be. Basically, do a fish face. See, you can tell mine is about right there. And I'm pulling my lip in a little more to even show, exaggerate it a little more. So, and I'm going to do that. And I'm not a pro at this. believe it or not, I'm still learning with makeup. So, but you put that high point that we put the most on right there in the hollow of the cheek, and I pull it into about the corner of the eye. And just do back and forth motions. And I go in and I just build it up to the depth I want to. Just keep building. And you don't want it to be too heavy-handed because then it won't look as natural either. And then I just kind of buff it out. And I buff upwards towards the cheekbone and then up like into the hairline as well. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right there in the hollow. And pull it down to about the corner of the eye, where the corner of the eye would be. Like if you drew a line straight from the corner of the eye down, that's about where I like to stop it. Because as we get older, our face can look really weird if we do much more than that. So, and like I said, I just kind of buff it in, pull it up a little bit so that it don't look too bad. And then I go back and add more on the other side if I want to. Like, sometimes I will do like a triangular shape as well to really sculpt that, but I'm not doing a heavy duty, contour. I want this to look more natural. Then I'm going to go back into it, tap it off, and I'm going to go up at the temple area right above the brow, and I just tap it on. Just a little bit. In a way, I'm doing a bronzing and contouring both. That's what I would consider it. And then I go right at the jawline. And you can go as light as you want to. If you're afraid you have too much on your brush, you can go real light strokes there. I mean, like I said, less is more. Take your time with it. Don't get in a rush. You don't want to look like you have a beard, after all. But then I'm buffing at the temples, again, and then I'll pull it up into the hairline as well. Go back in for more product as needed. And then I like to connect the jawline up to the contour as well as bring the temple down to the cheekbone as well. Like, basically going around the perimeter of my face. Now that right there helps to slim the face and gives you a little bit more of a sculpted look, like you actually have cheekbones. To me, I've done this really heavy-handed, and it really does make a difference whenever I do it. Even if I don't wear highlight. Basically contouring pulls things in more, and highlight brings things out. Think of it. Contour in, highlight out. The things that you want to bring forward more, that's what you highlight. The things that you want sunk in more, like your cheeks, you want to make it look like you have a smaller nose, make it look like you have deeper set eyes, that's all the things you contour. Now then, I'm going to take my little eyeshadow brush. This is a fluffy brush. You can use any type of brush you want to. Let me grab a different brush, actually. We'll go with I didn't grab the right brushes out. But this is one of the Eco Tools brush sets here. Making sure I don't have anything on this one. This is like the fluffy end of the duo set that has two ends to it. It's a two-piece set that you get 4 brushes basically in total because you have 2 on each brush. And I'm going to dip into that same contour shade that we were using, tap it off because you don't want it all over the face. And then I'm going right there in the socket of the eye from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner. And just kind of buffing it in. Real small buffing motions. Not anything major. Nothing crazy. And I'm taking it all the way to the inner corner. Okay. Now, if you can tell, that kind of helps to make my eyes look like they are deeper set. Then, like my right eye I have done, my left eye is not. If my eyes are open, it looks like my right eye is deeper set, at least to me. So, Then I'm going to do the left eye real quick. Like I said, just start at the outer corner. You buff, 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 buff. I mean, you don't have to take a lot of time doing this either. It doesn't have to be an hour-long process. Just do little buffing motions. And this, by the way, contour shade like this makes a great transition shade for whenever you're doing your eye look. And then I'm going to take that same brush and go down the sides of the nose, each side. That helps to slim the nose a little bit. And then I'm going back up into that crease. Believe it or not, taking that same shade with whatever's left on my brush, basically, and going back up into that crease. That just kind of helps it really mesh well with the rest of it. Then I'm just taking the brush and doing like a small buffing motion. Okay. And then if you really want to make your lips even appear a slightly bigger, you can take a little bit of contouring shade and go right there in the center of your bottom lip. Now you want to make sure you get that well blended, otherwise you'll look like you almost have a goatee or something. Trust me, I've gotten it to where it just looks completely awkward. I have, y'all. I've seen photos of myself and it's like, yeah, no, I didn't have everything well blended. Yep. No way. Okay. I mean, that right there is actual contouring. That's it. That's all there is to actual contouring. Now the trick is, let's add some color to the cheeks. You know, because whenever you put on a blank canvas like I had, you know, you don't have any life to the face. And that's what blush, I've been told at least, helps to do. Now, you can use the brush that we were using for contouring, that Wet n Wild brush, and that's what I'm actually going to use. You can also use like a highlighting brush, a small tapered brush, I believe is what this one's called, by e.l.f. Yeah, small tapered brush. You can also even use a bigger brush, but for me, I like using a smaller brush, like the Wet n Wild one, just because I cannot personally see my blush. So if y'all ever see me go overboard with my blush, I do apologize. I can't see it anyway, so, you know. But I swirl it in the blush, and I'm using the e.l.f. Blush and Bronzer Duo that I showed y'all a minute ago, right here. You can tell I've really hit pan on that blush. And I just swirl it around really good. Swirl, swirl, swirl. And tap it off. You can smile, and you can tell, if you're feeling your face, you can feel the bigger part of your cheek, the fattest part. Now, that's the general area that you want your blush. Now, you don't want to, okay, personally for me, I don't like to smile and then put it on all the time, because as we get older, I learned this from Wayne Goss, watching him. Whenever we're smiling, the skin that we have, whenever it's up like this, once we're done, it's way down here, like at the, almost the tip of the nose, instead of middle of the nose. So, I don't want that. But I generally want it in that general area, and then I just do like little buffing motions for my face, and buff it all the way back to my hairline. And I just go in as much as I want to. I did a second layer, basically. And you want to try to blend it in with that contour that we've already done. Because you want it to look like it's one seamless thing. You don't want to be able to tell where your blush ends and where your contour begins. Now, I'm sure you can on me, but hey, it'll be alright. Like I said, I can't see my blush anyway, so it's like, yeah, people probably can see where one ends and where one begins, but yeah, I'm just telling you what I've learned from watching Wayne Goss and other people on YouTube. That is how I taught myself to do all this, is good old YouTube. So, but that right there is blush, and it adds a little glow to the cheeks too, because this blush I used, at least, it's not fully matte. It does have a little bit of shimmer to it. It's not overly shimmery. It's supposedly a dupe for NARS Orgasm. And the bronzer in here is supposedly a dupe for NARS Laguna. Which NARS is a really expensive brand of makeup if you're not familiar with it. So, and then, like I said, with highlight, you want it to bring out the high points of your cheeks, you know, or of your face. Now, you can do it anywhere you want to bring forward, okay? Now, my favorite places to do it are tops of the cheekbones, down the nose, or up the nose, as I just did, but I go either up or down, right there on the Cupid's bow, and that's usually pretty much it, unless I do it like around the eyes or something, but usually after I do my eye makeup, that's whenever I decide, okay, do I want extra highlight there? And today I'm using the e.l.f. highlight in White Pearl. That's what it looks like right there. I mean, you can use something like Wet n Wild Reserve Your Cabana. You can use the e.l.f. contouring kit as more subtle highlights. Even Shop Miss A has some really good highlights that aren't as subtle, but you know, it's whatever you want to do. Now I'm using the e.l.f. highlighting brush. Now this here is great for doing highlight, and I go right there on the high points of the cheeks. And that's what I'm starting out with, at least, is that brush. And then I'll show you some other brushes you can do too. And I go from the practically the hairline to just under the corner of the eye. Because as we get older, you know, I'm talking about this from a 35-year-old perspective, okay, honestly. As we get older, we tend to sag in certain areas, and we don't want to draw as much attention to certain areas and may have texture there. So I don't like to bring it in any further because that can draw attention to areas I don't want drawn attention to. So, but that's my preference. Everybody has their own thing. Wherever you want to bring forward more, go ahead and highlight. You know. Now then, I'm going to show you another option here that you can do. You can also use a... Oh, where'd it go? I lost it. Alright. Now, you can use like fan brushes, which I'm going to show you here. These are two different fan brushes. One is from Shani and one is from You Can Be, I think. But, or no, one is Shani and one is BS Mall, pardon me. Now the Shani one, it's fuller. It's fraying a little bit. I mean, it wasn't in good quality whenever I got it anyway. But it's a lot fuller and it does work to do down the nose. And then this smaller one, this is from BS Mall. I've used it before too. But it gives a more subtle highlight. It's not as much of a bam in your face as what I just did here on the cheekbones. But I'm going to take the Shani one. Now you can get fan brushes as well from shopmissa.com for $1 each. And I'm going to swirl this in the highlight. Most things you want to tap off the excess if you can, otherwise you might have product going everywhere. And go right down the nose, and then I do like a little fan shape right there between the eyebrows. Really just get it in there. Whoop. Didn't know I had hair in my face. But that right there just brings a little light to the nose. And I mean, you can build it up all you want to. You can take the e.l.f. small tapered brush that I have here as well. Now, I've used this many, many times to do highlight. The e.l.f. small tapered brush. That's actually one of my favorite things to use for highlight. And then I'm going to show you using this BS Mall on the Cupid's bow area. Get a little bit on there, tap it off. Right there, the Cupid's bow, what I'm talking about whenever I say Cupid's bow, whenever you go down from the center of your nose, right here, that little area right there between your nostrils, and draw a straight line down. Now I was born with a cleft lip and palate, so it's not as prominent possibly on me, or it may be more prominent. I really haven't paid much attention to other people's. But there's a little line there, and where the the lips tend to bow a little bit, that's your Cupid's bow. And that just helps to bring a little extra there too. Now you can go as well, like on the edges of the mouth, the corners of the mouth. And then if you do have on a lipstick and you want to add a little oomph to it as well, you can even take this and add a little shimmer right in the center of your lipstick. Brighten it up a little bit. So that is another use for highlight. So, I mean, you can take highlight and, like we did the crease of the eye, you can even put that all over the eyelid. And there you go. You do have an eye look using your eyeshadow, or your contouring stuff and your highlighting stuff. I mean, it is possible. So, but that right there is how you contour your face. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below and I will try to answer them as I can. I do hope that you hit that subscribe button so that you see whenever I upload a contour or an eyeshadow video, because I'm going to do that. I'm going to do eyeliner video, well, eyeliner and mascara both in one, as well as a brow video. All that will be coming in the next few weeks. I also have other good videos planned, like as I do this, I'm thinking on my iHeart Drugstore tag video that will be up before this, possibly. Then I've got other tag videos planned, as well as some good makeup tutorials for back to school, for holiday times, for Halloween, for nights out, you know, date night out, whatnot. You know, there's so many ideas I have going, and I do have a little calendar that I'm trying to add things to slowly on WordPress. So you can follow my blog on WordPress.com. I'll have all the links down below for all my social media, because I would love for you to join me on there. Because join me on Facebook. I have a group called Blind Beauty Support. You can find the link below. Because we talk about all things affordable beauty, and I'd love to get to know some of y'all and talk beauty with y'all. So come join me over there as well. And thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.